It has not been the easiest of starts to the preseason for the New York Giants. Now 0-2, and well, to put it mildly, struggling a little bit on offense. Hello there, this is Christian Dyer, and this is Giants Talk on MSGnetworks.com. And it's been a little while. We took a little bit of break for summer, but excited to be back, excited that football's here, not excited to see the temperatures changing in the end of summer. Not gonna lie, I'm a summer guy, and judging from his social media accounts, Justin Tuck loves himself some summer. I mean, go out there and check out his Twitter or his Instagram. This is a guy who's up right now at Lake Martin, enjoying the lake life. Judging from his last picture, doing a little bit of relaxing, which is good. You know, it's been a busy summer for Justin, certainly a busy year as well, with the work that he's doing, internships, getting into the financial industry, the analysis work that he's doing as well, covering the NFL. It's an exciting time of the year, I think, for the Giants, and certainly exciting given the fact that the Monday night injury to Odell Beckham Jr., not as bad as feared. The guy could be available for week one. And listen, I'm going to ask Justin about this in a few moments, but you lose Odell Beckham Jr. For any significant amount of time, you know, not talking one game here, but any significant amount of time, and I think you lose a chance at making the playoffs, certainly at winning the division. That's how important he is to this offense. Without Odell Beckham out there running routes, I think the Giants' offense is still a good offense, but I don't think it's good enough to get you into the postseason. So want to definitely ask Justin about that. Also, there have been a couple impressive young players on this Giants defense, which offense has struggled a lot this preseason. Some of it may be by design. You know, head coaches don't open up the entire playbook necessarily during preseason. It's more just about getting the reps and getting timing down of things. But the defense, I think Eli Apple has been one of the standouts of preseason. And listen, I was someone who was critical of Eli Apple, his selection last year. I liked him, thought he was a good player, certainly felt that he was a top 10, top 12 caliber pick in the draft, but didn't necessarily fit the need. Now you're seeing somebody who's living up to all the potential, all the hype, fitting in perfectly to the defense, and I'm sitting here eating a little bit of crow. Also like Dalvin Tomlinson as well, and he's one of those guys in the interior part of the defensive line. Giants took him in the second round. I think he was a great value pick. He certainly came with a good pedigree from the University of Alabama. Curious to see what Justin Tuck has to say about Tomlinson as well, who's going to be called on, I think, certainly to play very significant snaps for this team this year and replacing Jonathan Hankins. So it's Giants Talk here on MSGnetworks.com. Coming up, Justin Tuck. All right, Justin, now we see, it's almost football season here, but for some of us, it seems like, according to social media, it's still vacation time. How are you enjoying life up there at the lake?
Yeah, man, I think I'm really enjoying it. It's getting closer to the end of this glorious little vacation, so you're obviously trying to get in as much time with the family and get in as much time on the lake as possible. But I'm headed back to the real world here soon. So definitely been enjoying it though.
Are you a fan of going out there on the boat and swimming and splashing around, or is that for the kids? Your last Instagram post seemed to imply that wet red wine won out over some other activities. I would say it's more for the kids. We have boats, sea-doos and things like that, where I know my sons love to get on those and whip around. We're kind of in a place now where there's not many people on the lake, so they're wide open spaces. So we've allowed them to kind of go out and swim and sea-doo and tube and things like that. So that's obviously hopefully something that I have fun memories of when they're adults. And I'm just glad we get the opportunity to do things like that. Yeah, I went down the Jersey Shore a couple weeks ago with the wife before training camp started. And, now that I'm a 30-something, I'm finding that going out on the boat and doing stuff kind of takes a backseat to just sitting on the beach and not doing anything.
Exactly. I think the only time I actually get out on the boat now is when the kids want to go out and play, or if we want to just shoot across. Because we got some really really great restaurants, some like mom and pop places we kind of pop into in the later evenings of the day and things like that. That's when I get on the boat. But more than likely, you'll see me doing exactly what you saw in the Answer Colors post. That's sitting out on the dock and enjoying a glass of red wine.
Yeah, I'm not even going to ask you about your restaurant choices because last time we talked food, there was kind of an ugly discussion about Jersey barbecue and Yankee barbecue versus, Deep South. So I'm not even going to go there.
I stand by everything I said.
Well, I co-sign everything I said tenfold. Let's talk about something we agree about, and that's the fact that Odell Beckham Monday night, that injury looked pretty bad. Got to be breathing a sigh of relief right now for the Giants. The fact that it's a high ankle sprain, he's probably going to miss the rest of preseason, may possibly miss week 1.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. Obviously, it's been a lot of discussion around if that's a dirty hit or a play that needs to be taken out of football. I don't think it was malicious. I think it was. I don't know if it was dirty either. I think it's obviously unfortunate. I don't know the kid who hit him. I don't know what the motive is and things of that nature. But it's very blessed that was on natural grass. If that's on actual turf or anything like that, that ankle might have got stuck there, and we might be talking about season-ending, surgery or something like that. So I guess in one way you're blessed that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. So. I know, Odell's a fighter. He's definitely one of those guys who's going to do everything in the training room and work with the strength staff to make sure that he's ready to go week 1, not knowing any, severity of how bad the ankle is. I would be very surprised if he's not out there week 1, just knowing how competitive he is and knowing how he definitely wants to show up on a big stage like it will be down in Dallas.
Yeah, when you see him go down and then he's, taken off the field, what's going through your mind? Are you thinking, well, that's the Giants' season right there?
I don't care who you are, and as great as Odell is, there's never a time where I believe that the season's over just by one player. Obviously he makes up a lot of the success that this team is going to have, but if it and obviously it's not the case, but if it was the case where he goes down, that gives other people behind him the opportunity to step up. I think they've done a lot of things right in this offseason to kind of strengthen that wide receiver core with the addition of Brandon Marshall. Obviously Shepard is back, and he's a year older and he's a year wiser and things of that nature. The rapport that Eli seems to have or built in the offseason with his wide receiver group, I think is going to pay dividends in the long term here in the season. So, obviously it would be a tremendous blow. But, season down the drain, I don't think that would be the case. It would just give other people opportunity and hopefully step up.
What are your thoughts on the offensive line? It was a bit of a rough night for them. I mean, I looked at it and I kind of wondered maybe why the Giants didn't address a little bit more of the offensive line, whether it was in the draft or via free agency. There's been a lot of talk about Eric Flowers and his, him being ready to take the step forward. But right now, I don't know if it's scheme. I don't know if it's preseason. I don't know if they're just working on some things, but it doesn't seem like this unit has taken a step forward. The ground game struggled because of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're all seeing that. I think given the fact that Flowers is a top 10 pick, there's obviously high expectations there, so he's going to get a lot of the flack. He's going to be, the spotlight is going to be, magnified on him. But I think from the collective, when I think of an offensive line, I always think of the collective. I always think about maybe there isn't a first-round pick on there, but they work well together. And I don't think this O-line is working well together now. Now, that being said, I don't know, like you said, I don't know if that's just preseason. They're working on things that looking at different blocking schemes and different checks at the line and so on and so forth. I know for a fact that, McAdoo's offense is very complicated and very, at the line heavy when it comes to checking and things of that nature. It takes some time to kind of get your confidence there and so on and so forth. So, I'm hopefully chopping this up to, they're working through some things, and by week one they'll have it down pat. But it is a concern. I think, luckily we have a veteran quarterback who's really, really good at getting the ball out of his hands when he needs to. So hopefully that won't be the case this year.
Yeah, you got to hope if you're the Giants that, Eli's not horizontal as much this year. You would have thought with Eric Flowers taking a step forward, sounds like his conditioning was better. They brought on board DJ Fluker too, which I think was kind of a little bit of an under the radar move for this team. He's a guy, he had a bunch of starts in San Diego, hit a rough patch or two, but he's got a good pedigree, he's got a good background, he's certainly started enough in the NFL. But is it fair to say right now that the defense is kind of where the defense was at the end of last year, on the more dominant side, looking like a top 3, top 5 defense, and that they might have to carry the offense until this thing starts clicking?
Yeah, I would think so. I think Jerry Reese and his staff has really built that defense up to be that type of defense, and from top to bottom. I think they've done a really good job of securing, I think a top 3 defensive line, probably top 5 secondary, and a young linebacker core that can run, get sideline to sideline with a veteran guy in the middle. So with Spags at the helm there, I had the great fortune of being with him and seeing how he's been able to kind of create defenses around his personnel. And with the personnel that he has, he's going to get really creative. He's going to really throw a lot of pressure, a lot of different looks at quarterbacks, and it's going to be hard to beat those guys because, one, he's a genius when it comes to dialing up the right things, and he has the personnel where the guys can really make plays out there on the defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, I really am excited to watch that defense play. I'm hoping that they can be that dominant defense that takes pressure off Eli and that offense until, obviously they get the rolling.
Where do you think this defense will end up ranking? I know statistics are overblown, but last year they were second best in the NFL in points per game behind only the New England Patriots. I don't think people realize that. Is this, you mentioned top 3 defensive line, top 5 back end. As a whole, where do you think this defense is going to end up being?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's so many variables that come into play there. A lot of times, injuries obviously is the big thing. If these guys stay healthy, there's going to be some times where they're going to have some lulls too. They're going to have some games where they might give up a touchdown or two that they shouldn't have given up and things like that. And that's why I think stats are overblown. I think I remember it was years where we were top 10 defense and we were in games where we were up by 30 points and they took us out. And the second string might have gave us a late second touchdown and things like that. So that obviously goes against your stats. Whereas if we were in a close game, we're playing at full tilt, and we're not probably giving up that touchdown. So I don't really concern myself with stats. I look at 2 things: how many points they're giving up, and how many wins you have. And that's I think those are the 2 main things. And this football team or this defense, like you just said, is one of the best at that. And so. I won't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 where they're going to rank. I will say that I am impressed with how quickly they've come out of the gate, and I think they're poised to be a very dominant defense.
Tell me if I'm wrong here, Justin. You think that the identity of this Giants team might actually be on the defensive side of the ball and not the offense? We saw the offense struggle. There was literally no ground game last year. You think that it may be the defense that carries this team this year?
Well, I think early, sure. And that's not to say that they won't do it the entire year, but I am excited to see Eli in the offense get to going. I know that's going to happen. I don't doubt that for a second. It might take them a little longer, like you said earlier. It might take them, I've been in seasons where, man, our defense couldn't get anything right in the beginning of the year, and Eli and those guys were putting up 35 points a game. And they were the only reason why we were winning. And by the middle of the season, then it was more of a 50-50 of sharing the load of us winning football games. So hopefully that's the case. Sometimes you look at who's coming back on that defense. They got just about everybody coming back that started last year, other than maybe the big name is Hankins. And I think that obviously bodes well because there's a lot of familiarity of what Spags wants from them, and it's not anything changing over from last year. So they were able to really hit the ground, running compared to, offense. They've had some new pieces added here and there. They've had some shuffling done around an O-line and things like that. And that might take a little bit of time to gel. That might take a little bit more time to, right the ship there. So, we'll see.
I mean, one of the guys who's impressed me, so far this preseason, and I was critical of his draft selection last year, was Eli Apple. And it was nothing about Eli necessarily, as an athlete, as a pick. But, when they had some safeties on the board, they had the needs on offensive line, I thought that's where the priority should be. But this is a young man who's looking like he's going to be, sooner rather than later, a number one cornerback on this Giants team.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's had a great preseason. I think, it might have been a little overwhelming for him to be thrown in there at the level that he was thrown into the beginning of the year last year. But like you said, he's a top draft pick, top first-round draft pick. So that's expected of those type of guys. And I think he's poised to have a good year. I think a lot of the pressure is not on him because that secondary is so great. And he has so many other guys that is, going to, have his back on things like that. From what I've seen from Eli Apple, he just seems more comfortable. He seems like, because I know he's well coached. I know Urban Meyer and that staff at Ohio State has him well coached, and now coming in with Spags, I think given the fact that he has, Cromartie and Rabbit and Collins and so on and so forth.
That means he's going to get picked on as the number 3 guy because you don't want to throw at Jenkins and Rogers Cromartie.
But I think he got picked on last year. And he's learned from that. I think that was that situation where it's like, I've taken that best shot as a rookie where I didn't know what I was doing back there, and now I've learned from that. And it seems like he's learned from that. He's gotten more comfortable with it. So, yeah, he's still going to get his fair share of balls thrown his way. But at the end of the day, I think that gives him more experience. That gives him more film to kind of go back and see what he's doing right, doing wrong. Regardless of, if he wins his fair share of those now or later, but I think he's definitely poised to continue to grow. And I've seen, and I think we've always seen tremendous strides from him compared to where he was last year.
And I like the draft pick, the second-round pick that they got this year, Dalvin Tomlinson. And, we've talked about him before, the Alabama kid, big defensive tackle. His footwork is impressive for a guy that size. And I got to say, he's a former soccer player, so that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, when I heard that, I thought, the first thing I thought was he's going to be really, really good in those trenches because of that. I think, I've always been intrigued by guys whose football might have been their second sport, who, did something else. Obviously, talk about the Gonzalez and the Gates of the world, where, they were completely basketball players, but had made the transition over to being, obviously probably future Hall of Famers. They will be future Hall of Famers. And I think, obviously with Thompson here, it definitely, I think, bodes well with him when it comes to, one, endurance, two, his footwork. And, I think the sky's the limit for him, considering that he's going to be the guy that's probably going to get single teams in there because you obviously have those other 3 monsters along that defensive line. He's going to have a lot of opportunity to make a lot of noise at that 350.
If you had to play another sport, what would that sport have been? Golf.
Or a left-handed relief pitcher.
As a former soccer guy, I'm not sure if football obviously is probably going to be out for me, I'm guessing. Baseball's too slow. I do think I could have been a halfway decent shooting guard, though, at the college basketball level. You spot me up from 20 feet out, and I can knock it down. Off the screen, of course. Let me refocus this now with one final question for you. Ezekiel Elliott, if he's out for 6 games, are the Giants the favorites to win the NFC East?
Well, I mean, that question I'm gonna answer by saying this: I don't think that the Giants are not the favorite, regardless of if Ezekiel is there. If we do what we did last year, which is beat them twice, and share up other things within, I don't think the Redskins should beat us. I don't think Philly should beat us. I obviously think that it will come down to the Cowboys and the Giants, but I'm very confident in the Giants' play against the Cowboys. As good as the Cowboys was last year, the Giants still play really, really well against them and deserve to win both those games. So, I'm confident in the fact that we'll play well against them regardless if Ezekiel's there or not. And I'll be disappointed if they lose those games. I know they're going to be hard fought and things of that nature, but I really am confident in the fact that the Giants should be the number one team in the NFC East when it's all said and done.
So with or without Ezekiel Elliott, you think the Giants are the favorites to win the division?
They're my favorites. And I'm obviously sure that some people disagree with me there, but I've been around football a long time, and I feel confident in how the Giants are building this football team. I know that they'll show up in big games, and every game against the NFC rival is going to be a big game. I really like our chances there, especially with how our defense is playing. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't think our offense will have to put up 35 points against the Cowboys. I think it's going to be one of those 21, 24, maybe 21-17 type of games, and I think that bodes well for us down there.
Enjoy a little bit more time up at Lake Martin.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Justin. Justin Tuck right there, saving the best for last. Tuck thinks, with or without Ezekiel Elliott, we all know that there's a 6-game suspension that's looming for the Cowboys running back. He thinks that the Giants will unseat Dallas this year to win the division. No matter who's on the field for the Cowboys, he thinks that the Giants are the best team in the division. And that's bold, but when you look at his line of thinking, saying that the Giants' defensive line is top 3 in the league. I think we can all agree with that. The linebacker core has gotten better, has improved. And I think you look at the 2 deep for the Giants at linebacker, it's a young group. It's a talented group, and it's fast, which is one thing the Giants needed to do, was get a little bit faster on defense. They did that at linebacker. And then the back end, he said it's top 5. I think it's top 3. Top 2, worst case scenario. This is as talented of a back end as the Giants may have ever had. Just when you look at the depth in the secondary, what they have in terms of playmakers, and then Landon Collins and Thompson back there at safety as well. And they've got good depth there. This is the kind of defense that wins a division. And when you look at the potential for the offense, bringing in Brandon Marshall, Evan Ingram, I know there's concerns on the offensive line. If that offensive line can marginally improve and be even an adequate unit, I absolutely agree. I think that the New York Giants have the potential to unseat the Dallas Cowboys atop the division. So that was some good stuff. I'm going to disagree with Justin. I am a basketball legend in pickup games. I'm not going to take it to the hole. I'm not a slasher. I've got my game. Run off the pick, shoot the wide open from 20, 22 feet out. That is my game. I'm sticking to it. And sorry, Justin, you might be right about the Giants winning the NFC East, but don't ever question the legend in my own mind.